وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أن حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في السور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تأكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. رحم الله سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
ور محمد وآل محمد صلوات. गर्म रेती पे मैं गिरता हूँ संभालो अम्मा गर्म रेती पे मैं गिरता हूँ संभालो अम्मा तुम मुझे आके कलेजे से लगा लो अम्मा गर्म रेती पे मैं गिरता हूँ संभालो अम्मा असरे आशूर था शबीर पे तन्हाई थी माहे ज़हरा पे घटा जुल्म की जब छाई थी शह को जब नो के सीना सूए ज़मी लाई थी गिरते गिरते लबे ज़ख्मी से सदा आई थी गर्म रेती पे मैं गिरता हूँ संभालो अम्मा लुट गया हूँ मैं किसी की भी मुझे आस नहीं कत्ल सब हो गए अब कोई میرے پاس نہیں میرا قاسم، نہیں اکبر نہیں عباس، نہیں تم مجھے آ کے کلیجے سے لگا لو اماں، گرم ریتی پہ میں گرتا ہوں، سنبھالو اماں، لاش قاسم کی اٹھائی ہے نظر، زخمی ہے زخم اکبر کا جو دیکھا ہے، جگر زخمی ہے قلب زخمی ہے، بدن زخمی ہے، سر زخمی ہے، بے سہارا ہوں میں، بابا کو بلا لو اماں، گرم ریتی پہ میں گرتا ہوں، سنبھالو اماں، تم مجھے آ کے کلیجے سے لگا لو اماں۔ صلوات۔
Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. On behalf of the whole community, we'd like to extend our on this event of the commemoration of the Wafat of Imam Jafar Sadiq, our condolences to the entire community. I'd like to, in advance, thank Syed Tayyab Musavi, who's here today with us, and inshallah, he'll grace us with a speech for this event. I would also like to remember all those that are not with us anymore. In particular, let's recite Surah Fatiha for the sawab of Marhum Murtaza Jafar Allu, who passed away in Toronto on Thursday, as well as the marhumin from all of our families. Surah Mubarakatil Fatiha. With a loud salawat, let's welcome Syed Musavi to the podium. Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون، ولا يوصينا معه العادون، ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون، الذي لا يدركه بهد الهمم، ولا يناله غوث الفتن، الذي ليس لصفته حد محدود، ولا نعت موجود، ولا وقت محدود، ولا أجل ممدود، فترى الخلائق بقدرته، ونشر الرياح برحمته، ووتد بالسخر ميدان عرض، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، وحبيبنا وحبيب رب العالمين أبي القاسم محمد، اللهم صل وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، واللعن على أعدائهم أجمعين من أول يوم ظلمهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المبين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل لا أسألكم عليه أجرا إلا المودة في القربى. صدق الله العظيم. The first of our salawat in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen and Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen. The second verse salawat in honor of Hassan and Hussein, the masters of the youths of paradise. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And finally, the last of our salawat with the loudest of your voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam SIIJLA alayhi salam. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Except for his grandfather and his ancestors, known for his knowledge and revered for his piety and worship, the history of the world has not seen anyone like our sixth Imam, Imam Jafar, Sadiq alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. It doesn't matter what Islamic school of thought you belong to. It doesn't matter if you belong to the Shia school of thought. It doesn't matter if you belong to the Sunni school of thought. Every Muslim has a debt to pay to this holy personality. Why? Inshallah, we'll get to that point later on in the lecture. But every Muslim has a debt to pay to this personality. When we look at the life of this Imam of ours, we see that from the time he took on the responsibility of Imamat to the time when he passed away, the most important thing that he focused on was knowledge. The most important aspect of life that he focused on was spreading knowledge. And not just any type of knowledge, truth. What type of truth? When it came to Islam, what was true, what was false? By the time of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, what would happen? It came to the point where the hadiths were completely this and there. It came to the point where the Muslim ummah was praying their salat not the way the Holy Prophet was praying his salat. So when it came to the life of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam, when it came to the lives of these two Imams, they specifically focused on spreading knowledge. Why was it that these two Imams spread? Or why was it that these two Imams focused on this topic? Because when you look at history and you look at the time that they lived in, you see that there was something happening within the government itself. The governments were fighting each other. The Banu Umayyah was still trying to hold on to power, and the Banu Abbas was trying to gain power. Because of this struggle between the two governments, because of this political struggle, this gave the two Imams the most perfect opportunity to spread Islam the way that the Holy Prophet had brought Islam. What's sad about this holy personality, and I blame us, the Shia specifically, is that the rest of the world doesn't know about this holy personality. We have this holy personality in our school of thought. We know about this holy personality. Why haven't we done tabligh about this holy personality to the other people? When you look at Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam and you look at what he spread, in that time, if you wanted to learn philosophy, you went to the doorsteps of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. If you wanted to learn chemistry, you went to the doorsteps of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. If you wanted to learn biology, you went to the doorsteps of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. If you wanted to learn fiqh, Islamic fiqh, you went to the doorstep of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. If you wanted to learn astronomy, you went to the doorstep of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. It didn't matter what science you wanted to learn, you eventually had to come to this doorstep. When we have this Imam, when we know that this Imam had all of this knowledge, why haven't we spread knowledge about this Imam of ours? Why haven't we? When you look at the type of students that the Imam had, in some narrations they state that the Imam had over 4,000 students. 4,000 students. The most famous of them, two of them are the Imams of two of the Sunni schools of thought. One of them is known as the father of modern chemistry. We know these people, but we don't, the Muslims and the rest of the world knows these people, but they don't know Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. When we talk about chemistry today in this world, who do we talk about? From the Islamic Empire. Even today in the university level, they speak about Jabir ibn Hayyan. Even today in the university level, they say that he is the father of modern chemistry. Yet when it comes to Jabir, when you look at what he's written, over 250 treatises on chemistry, alchemy, chemistry, all types, he himself, he says that I learned from my master, Jafar al-Sadiq. I learned from my master, Jafar al-Sadiq. Yet if you ask the rest of the world, do you know who Jafar al-Sadiq is? They go, we don't know what this name is. We don't know what this name is. When it comes to the Sunni school of thought, if you ask them, do you know that Abu Hanifa, he was a student of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam? Many of them, they wouldn't know this fact. And some of them, they'd completely deny it. Why? Out of the hate of the Ahlul Bayt. Why is that? If you ask them, do you know that Malik ibn Anas was a student of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam? They wouldn't know. Why is that? One. Two, why is it that these people held on to the students but left the teacher? When you look at Bukhari, there isn't one narration from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Not one narration. Why? Because he felt that the hadiths that were coming from the Imam were weak. If they were weak, why is Abu Hanifa learning from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam? If they were weak, why is Imam Malik learning from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam? If the knowledge coming from this fountain, this nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala were weak, then why are the Imams now that you hold to be Imams, they're learning from this fountain? Why? Does this make sense? No, it doesn't. So when it comes to this life of Imam Jafar Sadiq, when it comes to this personality of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, it becomes necessary for us. And today, it's easier for us to talk about the achievements of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. What do I mean? Inshallah, there's a whole debate that the Imam has with an atheist of his time, Abu Shakir. And if you look at that debate, we'll talk about that debate. When you look at that debate, when you listen to that debate, you see that the questions that the atheists ask today, those are the exact same questions that Abu Shakir asked Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam 1200 years ago. 1200 years ago. The questions haven't changed. The answer that the Imam gave at that time, when you put the answer into context of his time period, you'll see that the knowledge that this personality had is not ordinary knowledge. And when it comes to the knowledge of the Imam, we have narrations that state that the Imam, the earliest that he used to be in his father's lectures was when the Imam was 3 years old. At the age of 3, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he is in his father's lectures of Imam Muhammad Baqir alayhi salam. And what is the Imam talking about? What's Imam Muhammad Baqir talking about? Astronomy. What's Imam Muhammad Baqir talking about? Philosophy. What's Imam Muhammad Baqir talking about? He's talking about cosmology. He's talking about astrology. He's talking about astronomy. A 3-year-old who's sitting in these lectures. One day, the Khalifa of that time, he comes, Walid, he comes, and he sees that there's a 3-year-old. At that time, the Khalifa, he wasn't in Medina. The Imams, they were in Medina. The Khalifa, he was in Syria, in Sham. What he had done was he had told his representative in Medina that he wants to have construction done on the Mosque of the Holy Prophet. He wants to expand it. So when he had told the representative he wants to expand it, the representative, after half a year, after a year, he writes a letter to him and he says that some of that expansion has been done. So now the Khalifa, he wants to see what the expansion is. So when he comes, he sees that Imam Muhammad Baqir, he's giving a lecture in Masjid Nabawi. And he goes in there and he sees that there's a 3-year-old boy sitting in that lecture. Around that 3-year-old boy, there are adults, 25, 35, 45, 55 years old. And the Khalifa, he looks at his representative and he goes, who's that boy? And does he understand what is being said? So his representative, he looks at the Khalifa, he laughs at him, and he goes, this boy is Imam Muhammad Baqir's son. His name is Jafar Sadiq. And he understands better than any of these students that are in front of Muhammad Baqir. He understands better. And at that time, just like the Khalifas after, what did they used to do when they knew that this person had knowledge or this boy had knowledge? They always used to try and test them. They always tried and test them. So what does he do? The Khalifa, he calls Imam Sadiq alayhi salam over, a boy of 3 years old. He calls him over to test him, and he asks him, what's your name? And he goes, my name is Jafar. Jafar, can you tell me who is known as the father of logic? A 3-year-old. Would we expect our 3-year-old son, our 3-year-old daughter to know this? No. Who is known as the father of logic? And the Imam, without hesitating, he says that Aristotle is known as the father of logic. His companions, his students, gave him that title, Aristotle. Then he asked him, do you know who Ma'az is? Ma'az. And the Imam, he goes, Walid, you're mistaken. Ma'az is not a person. Ma'az is the name of a group of stars in a certain constellation in the galaxy. It's not the name of a person. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he's being tested in what? Logic. At 3 years old, he gives his answer. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, at the age of 3, he's being tested about astronomy. He gives his answer. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam now, Walid, he goes, do you know who's known as Sahib al-Miswaq? The Imam, without hesitating, he goes, yes. That was one of the companions. He was given that name, Sahib al-Miswaq, one of the companions of the Holy Prophet. When he says this now, the Khalifa, he's completely stunned. A 3-year-old, he knows history. A 3-year-old, he knows astronomy. A 3-year-old, he knows logic. He knows philosophy. When he fails in trying to prove that this person isn't intelligent, this person isn't supposed to be, or this person doesn't have the intelligence that these people claim, he goes back to Imam Muhammad Baqir and he tells them, congratulations. I can tell you that this son of yours will be the greatest scientist of his time. Will be the greatest scientist of his time. Was that really something to say? Was that really fortune telling? If you look at his ancestors, they were the greatest scientists of their time. If you look at all of his grandchildren, you look at his son, you look at his grandchildren, they were the greatest scientists of his time. So there was nothing special about that statement. Ya Baqir, your son will be the greatest scientist of your time. But when it comes to the Holy Imam, when you look at the Imam and you look at his life and what he did for science, what he gave to science, what's sad is today we do not credit the Imam with what he gave for science. What's sad today, we do not give credit to the Imam with a lot of the theories that are now in science today. Theories that existed 200 years ago, the Imam talked about them 900, 1,000 years prior. Theories that were proven correct in the last century, the Imam talked about them 12 centuries ago. Isn't it sad that we have a personality such as Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, but we ourselves don't know how much knowledge this personality has? That's what's upsetting, that we have such personalities, we do not hold to them. We do not look at these personalities. If you look at the Ahlul Bayt, which of the Ahlul Bayt were not the fountains of knowledge? Which of them were? They all were. They all were. But even from the Ahlul Bayt, even though it's not Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, from within the Ahlul Bayt, there's one Imam. What title does he have? He has the title of Scholar of Ala Muhammad. Alim Ala Muhammad. And do you know who that is? That's the grandson of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Alim Ala Muhammad. Why was he given that title? Inshallah, if I ever get the chance, we'll go over Imam Raza alayhi salam's life. But when it comes to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, when you look at what he says or his theory about light, you see that that same theory is what's accepted today. You see that it's that theory of light Galileo used to make his telescope. When did Galileo make this telescope? Do you all know? 1500. In the 1500s. When did the Imam have his theory of light? 800 years before Galileo. Yet we don't give credit to Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. Why? Because we do not know. What does the Imam say? The Imam says, look, for his theory of light, he says, what we see is the light being reflected off the object. That light hits our eyes and we're able to see that object. He goes on to say that if we were to make something that focuses all that light into a specific area, we would be able to see something that is almost 3,000 feet away as if it's almost 50 feet away. As if it's 50 feet away. And when Galileo made his telescope and he was asked, how is it possible that this telescope of yours is able to see even the mountains on the moons? Do you know what he says? He says the same exact thing. All the light is being focused into one area, and because of that, we're able to see something that is an object that's 3,000 feet away, as if it's 50 feet away. That's Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. 800, 900 years before Galileo. There's a book, The Superman of Islam. The Superman of Islam. All it has, it's written by French scientists, all it has is the scientific theories that Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam had talked about. That's it. That's it. And after that book, after reading about what Imam Jafar Sadiq, this is an old book, after reading about these theories of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, they became Shia. Yet we don't know about this. We don't know about the theories of our holy Imam. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. When it came to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, even though he was known for chemistry, even though he was known for all of those sciences, what did he focus on the most? Do you all know? The most, what he focused on was theology. One of his students, I said, was Abu Hanifa. Abu Hanifa, even though he was a student, even though Abu Hanifa, he says that those 2 years that I spent with Jafar Sadiq, if I hadn't spent those 2 years, I would have perished. Even though he spent those 2 years, even though he said that, he differed with the Holy Imam in terms of theology, and he differed with the Holy Imam in terms of fiqh. One day, the Imam, he's at home and he's giving a lecture. Abu Hanifa, he comes and he's waiting outside the house. He asked for permission, but he wasn't given permission. There was already a congregation inside. So when he wasn't given permission, he waits outside. When he waits outside, there's another group that comes and it goes into the house. When it goes into the house, Abu Hanifa, he quickly goes in with this group. When he goes in with this group and they finish talking to Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Abu Hanifa, he gets up and he goes, Yabna Rasulullah, I've been to Kufa and I've heard your companions curse the companions of the Holy Prophet. Tell them to stop. Why don't you tell them to stop? The Imam, he looks at Abu Hanifa, he goes, Abu Hanifa, they won't listen to me. They won't listen to me. And he goes, why won't they listen to you? Why won't they listen to you? You're the grandson of the Holy Prophet. And the Imam, he looks at Abu Hanifa, he goes, Abu Hanifa, those people are the laymen. You yourself, you claim to be an alim. You yourself don't listen to me. When you're an alim and you don't listen to me, how do you expect the laymen to listen to me? Abu Hanifa, he goes, what do you mean? Imam, he goes, I never gave you permission to come into my house, yet you came into my house. I never gave you permission to sit down, yet you sat down without my permission. On top of that, the Imam, he goes, I hear that you give your opinions to other people and you don't give them my opinions. Is that true? Abu Hanifa, he goes, yes, that's absolutely true. And the Imam, he goes, I hear that you use analogy and comparison when you come to conclusions in fiqh. Do you do that? And he goes, yes, I do that. This is the reason in our fiqh, we do not use comparison. None of the ulama, none of the maraja, they use comparison, they use analogy to come to a conclusion in fiqh. Why? Because the Imam, he tells us. The Imam, he goes, do you know who the first person to use analogy the way you did was? He goes, no. He goes, the first person to use analogy like that was Shaitan. The first person to use analogy the way you do and come to conclusions is Shaitan. Why? Why did Shaitan not bow? What did he say? What did he say? Ya Allah, you've created him from dirt and you've created me from fire. I'm better than him. Does that prove because he's from fire he's better than Hazrat Adam? No, it doesn't. This was the analogy. So the Imam, he asked him, tell me, you use analogies to come to conclusions, tell me. First and foremost, what is worse? Urine or sperm? What's worse? Abu Hanifa, he says urine. Urine is worse. So the Imam, he goes, if urine is worse, then why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered you to wash only the part after you urinate, but after Hadath al-Akbar, you have to completely take a shower? Why do you have to take a shower if urine is worse? You say urine is worse. He didn't have an answer. Then the Imam, he asked him again. He goes, tell me, what's worse? Murder or fornication? What's worse? Abu Hanifa, he replies, murder is worse. Murder is worse. Then the Imam, he looks at him, he goes, if you say that murder is worse, why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said that for murder there only needs to be 2 witnesses, but for fornication there needs to be 4? And I bet you some of you were thinking the same thing. You had the same types of answers. Why is it that for murder, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said 2 witnesses, but for fornication, 4? This is why you don't compare. Even within Shia fiqh, even within Shiism, this type of comparison is coming. What do I mean? What is better, prayer or azadari? This is absolutely wrong. What's better, prayer or Imam Hussein? This is absolutely wrong. You have to, if you realize, if you think about Karbala, both of them saved each other. Imam Hussein sacrificed his life. Why? For this prayer. And it's because Imam Hussein sacrificed his life for this prayer has kept Imam Hussein alive until the Day of Judgment. Saying what's greater, prayer or Imam Hussein, this question itself is wrong. Some people, they don't know how to ask questions. Abu Hanifa, Imam, he goes, Abu Hanifa, tell me, what's greater, salat or saum? What's greater, prayer or fasting? Abu Hanifa, he replies, Ibn Rasulullah, prayer is better. Prayer is better. The Imam, he looked at him, he goes, if prayer truly is better, then why is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said for a woman that when she fasts on the month of Ramadan, she just has to make up those fasts after she is on her monthly cycle, but when it comes to prayers, those prayers don't have to be made up? Why? You say that prayer is better. If prayer is better, shouldn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have told the woman to make up the prayers and not the fast? But why has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the woman to make up the fast and not the prayers? Abu Hanifa had no answer. Why? Because this is the type of analogy. And when the Imam, he's kept in quiet like this, what does Abu Hanifa say? He says, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, from today onwards, I will never use analogy. But the Holy Imam, he goes, no, you're so deep into using this analogy that you will never stop. You'll never stop. And that's true, even until today. The Sunni school of thought, they use analogy to come to conclusions. The Imam, then he asked him another question. He goes, I've heard that you interpret one of the verses of the Quran which state that on the Day of Judgment you will be questioned about the blessings of your Lord. You interpret the blessings to mean food and drink. Is that true? And he goes, yes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, that's true. Food and drink on the Day of Judgment, you'll be questioned about the food and drink. So the Imam, he goes, let me ask you something. If someone was to invite you to their house and they were to give you food and they were to give you drinks, and then afterwards they were to question you about the food and drink that you had, what would you say about them? Abu Hanifa replies, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, I'd say that these people were stingy. So the Imam, he goes, you say that these people are stingy. Now, let me ask you, are you saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stingy, that He gives you food, He gives you drink, and then He'll ask you about it? Are you saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is stingy? Abu Hanifa goes, Ya Ibn Rasulullah, then what does this verse mean? He goes, the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask you about is us Ahlul Bayt. What did you do with us? How did you treat us? Did you treat us the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked you to treat us? La as'alukum alayhi ajran illa al-mawaddata fil qurba? Or did you do to us what they did to Imam Hussein? Did you do to us what they did to Amir al-Mu'mineen? Did you do to us what they did to Imam Hassan? How did you treat us? And then there's Malik ibn Anas. Malik ibn Anas, he himself, has narrations from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam. He himself, he says, he gives a lot of respect to the Imam. He himself, he says that I never heard a narration from the Imam without him being in wuzu. Without him being in wuzu. Jabir ibn Hayyan, we talked about, father of modern chemistry. Yet no one knows about Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. No one knows about Imam Sadiq. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This is the reason, brothers and sisters, that today our ulama do not use analogy. Why? Because the conclusions that you come to aren't really necessarily correct. It might be correct, but it's not because of analogy. It's because of something else that's there. Today, to this day, none of our maraja use analogy. But like I said, inshallah, I'm going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. One of the most hotly debates today is about the existence of God. Today, up until today, the atheists ask about this. There's a whole debate of the Imam with one of those people of that time. His name was Abu Shakir. The holy Imam, he was giving a lecture in the masjid. The Imam, while he was giving the lecture, Abu Shakir, he comes and he sits down. He listens to everything. And after the Imam was done, what did he say? He gets up to the Imam and he says to him, Ya Jafar, is it not true that there is no Allah? This is the debate. Please pay attention to the debate, because every single idea that Abu Shakir asked, every single idea that Abu Shakir had 1300 years ago, those are the same concepts, those are the same ideas that are being regurgitated today by the atheists. And look at the answer that the Imam gives. When you look at that answer, you realize that this personality is not like you and I. When this personality has complete grasp of fiqh, of astrology, of astronomy, of biology, of chemistry, of philosophy at the age of 3, how can you then go and say that he's just like you and I? No, it's difficult. But what happens? Abu Shakir, he goes, is it not true that there is no Allah? Isn't it true that there's no Allah? You want people to believe in a thing which does not exist. If there was Allah, we could have felt His existence through our senses. Today, the atheists still make this argument. If there was a God, we would be able to feel Him through our senses. So what does he say? He says, you may say that we can perceive the presence of Allah by our intelligence and not through our inner or outer senses. But our intelligence also needs the assistance of our 5 senses, without which it cannot function. Today, the atheists say the same thing. We cannot make any reasoning or come to any conclusion without the help of our senses. You say that the universe was created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who did not talk to anyone except for the Prophet of Islam. As a matter of fact, the universe came into existence by itself. 1200 years ago, this argument was used. 1200 years after, this argument is still used. This universe came into existence by itself. You deceive innocent people by saying that your imaginary Allah has created the universe. But I don't deceive anyone. I don't deceive anyone. No one created the universe. There was no need of any God to create it. It came into existence by itself. And in reply, what does the Imam say? If you look at it, this is exactly the same arguments that are used today. What does the Imam say? He says, Abu Shakir, you have said that I have made up stories and asked the people to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who cannot be seen. Can you see inside your own body? This was 1200 years ago. The Imam, he goes, can you see inside your own body? Abu Shakir, he looks at the Imam, he goes, what's the connection between me? I can't see inside my body, but what's the connection between your Allah and me being able to see inside my body? What is the connection? Imam, he replies that you have just said now that a thing which cannot be seen, touched, tasted, or heard does not exist. Do you hear the movement of blood within your body? Do you hear the movement of blood within your body? Have you seen the tiny living beings within your body which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created? Have you seen the tiny little beings within your body that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created? It is because of these small creatures and their wonderful work that you are kept alive. They are so small that you cannot see them, since you are a slave of your senses. What is the Imam talking about here? What are these tiny creatures that keep this body alive? Is it not the blood cells that do that work? How is it possible that the Imam knew about these tiny creatures before they were even discovered? How is it possible? The Imam himself, he says, look, there are these tiny creatures inside your body, you cannot see them. Today we found out what those tiny creatures are. Blood cells. It's because of these small creatures and their wonderful work that you're kept alive. They're so small that you cannot see them since you're a slave of your senses. You do not know about their existence. If you increase your knowledge and decrease your ignorance, you will come to know that these small beings in your body are as large in number as the sands or grains of sand in the desert. These small creatures are born in your body, multiply in your body, work in your body, and die in your body. But you never see them, touch them, taste them, hear them in your lifetime. This was 1200 years ago when no one had ever seen a blood cell. No one had ever seen a blood cell. Abu Shakir, do you see this stone? This is where it gets even more interesting. He goes, Abu Shakir, do you see this stone? To you, it seems lifeless and motionless. To you, it seems lifeless and motionless because you do not see the brisk motion which is inside the stone. The motion that is within the stone. The Imam, he doesn't say that this stone moves. He says that there's motion inside the stone. A stone is non-living. What is in non-living things and living things which moves around? The atoms in everything that exists, there are atoms in animate objects and in inanimate objects. All these atoms, they move around. The Imam, he tells Abu Shakir, this stone, it doesn't have life, but there's motion inside of it. And the Imam himself, he says, there will come a time when the people will have enough knowledge that they will be able to see that motion. They'll be able to see that motion. When we finally realize that there were atoms within everything that exists, that's when we started seeing the motion that the Imam was talking about. Abu Shakir, it is a lack of knowledge and an increase of your ignorance which allows you not to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's this which would not let you believe that there is motion inside this stone. Why? Because you have a lack of knowledge. The time will come when the learned people would see the motion which is inside of this. Abu Shakir, you have said that everything in the universe came by itself and has no creator. You think that the grass in the field grows and gets green by itself? You think the grass on the field grows and gets green by itself? You must know that the grass cannot grow without seeds, and seeds would not germinate without moisture in the soil, and there would be no moisture if no rain falls. And the rain does not fall by itself, Abu Shakir. First, the water vapors rise and gather above the atmosphere in the form of clouds. The winds then bring those clouds to wherever it needs to rain. Then the water vapors condense and fall as raindrops. What is this known as today? Today in science it's known as the water cycle. Do you know when the water cycle was theorized? 1600. In the 1600s. The Imam is talking about this water cycle 800 years before. And yet the Imam has no credit. This is what's sad. If we ourselves knew that our holy Imam talked about this stuff, then we would be able to do tabligh. We would be able to tell others that, what are you talking about? This personality told us about this 1200 years ago. He told us about this 1200 years ago. What does the Imam? He continues. He says, Abu Shakir, the rain must also fall at the right time, otherwise no grass will grow and become green. Not only that, but take the seeds of 10 kinds of herbs and put them in a closed jar which has sufficient water but no air. If it has water and no air, would they germinate? No, they won't. Why? Because in addition to water, seeds need air also. It's possible to grow grass, herbs, and fruit in hot houses when it is very cold, provided that there's enough air. Provided that there's enough air. Abu Shakir, do you not see the air on which your very existence depends? Do you not see that? You don't see air. You don't see air. But we know that it exists. Abu Shakir, can you deny that to grow and to get green, the grass needs many things like seeds, soil, water, air, a suitable climate, and above all, a strong managing power which may coordinate all of these actions with its different elements? That managing and coordinating power is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You say that everything comes into existence by itself because you are not a scientist. No scientist would ever say that. The scientist of his time is saying no scientist would ever claim that there is no God. What did he say? He says all scientists and all scholars believe in the existence of a creator, although they may call him by different names. They may call him by different names. Even those who do not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they believe in a creative force. They believe in a creative force. Abu Shakir, it is not because of one's knowledge, but it is due to their ignorance that he does not believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's because of his ignorance. When a wise man thinks of himself, he finds that his own body needs a controller so that all of its organs and systems may function properly. When a wise man looks at himself, he sees that this body itself needs a controller. So now when he looks out into the universe, he would also say that when this small body needs a controller, then this vast universe also needs a controller. This is what a wise man would conclude, Abu Shakir. He then realizes that this vast universe also needs a controller or supervisor so that it may run smoothly. You said just now that both of us create our own God. You create yours by your hands, and I created mine by my imagination. But there's a big difference between your God and my Allah. Your God did not exist before you made him out of wood or stone, but my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was there before I even thought about him. Allahumma salli ala. And look at the way Imam Sadiq alayhi salam needs to explain this. He goes, Abu Shakir, when you see a mountain, you try to know more about that mountain. You try to know more about that mountain. That mountain existed before you saw it. That mountain existed before you saw it. But after you see it, then you want to know more about it. So when it comes to something visible, such as a mountain, something materialistic, such as a mountain, when it existed before we even used our senses for it, then how can you say that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who cannot be sensed, does not exist? Even for things that we need our senses for, they existed before we sensed them. Yet we agree that, yes, they existed. The mountains, they existed before we were even born. So how can we come to the conclusion that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not exist? The Imam, he goes on to say, you cannot know much about the mountain because of your limited knowledge. The more your knowledge grows, the more you will learn about it. It's impossible for you. This is 1200 years ago. He goes, it's impossible for you to know what benefits the mountain has. It's impossible for you to know what minerals are underneath this mountain. But there will come a time when people will know what benefits these have, what these mountains do, and what minerals lie underneath this mountain. Do you know that the stones out of which you make your idols came into being thousands of years ago and shall exist for thousands of years more? These stones, Abu Shakir, have come here from a distant place. These stones have come from a distant place. And this, brothers and sisters, when you look at this part of the debate, you see that for the Imam to know this type of theory, he must have seen the creation of this universe. He must have seen the creation of this universe. What do I mean? The Imam, he goes, they could travel that long journey because different parts of the earth are always moving. But this movement is so slow and you do not feel it. There's nothing in the universe which is not in motion. The Imam, he goes on to say, rest or motionlessness is meaningless. We are not at rest even when we're sleeping. Why? Because the earth is constantly moving. Not only is the earth constantly moving, but there's motion within our bodies even when we're at rest. So the concept of rest and motionlessness doesn't exist. He goes, Abu Shakir, if you had any knowledge about the pieces of stone out of which you carved these idols, you would not have denied the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you would not have said that I have created him through my imagination. You do not know how a stone came into being. Today you can handle it as you like and cut it into any shape or form, but there was a time, and this is why I say that the Imam must have seen the creation of this universe. The Imam, he goes, there was a time when these stones were in a liquid state. These stones, they were in a liquid state. Gradually, this liquid form, it cooled down and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala solidified it. In the beginning, it was quite brittle and would have broken into pieces in your hand if you had held it. Obsidian, what is obsidian? Do you all know? It's the rock or the black lava that forms after lava is cooled. It's the black stuff that forms. It's called obsidian. That obsidian, if you were to hold it, it's completely brittle. It breaks in your hand. The Imam, how did he know that there was a time that this whole earth was in a magma form? When you look at the theory of how this world was created or how this world came into existence today, what did they say? What did they say? Billions of years ago, this earth was in a molten form. All of that cooled down, and that's how we have land masses. How is it possible that a personality knows this 1200 years ago? And you want me to believe that he's just like you and I? They might look like you and I, but they are completely different than you and I. These were the Ahlul Bayt. He goes, Abu Shakir, if you had known all of this, you would not deny the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Imam, he tells Abu Shakir that these stones were in a liquid state, Abu Shakir, he laughs. When he laughs, the Imam, he asks him, why are you laughing? He goes, you just said right now that these stones, they were water. And he goes, no, I never said that they were water. I never said that they were water. I said that they were liquid. And Abu Shakir, he goes, what's the difference between liquid and water? They're the same thing. And the Imam, he goes, no, they're not the same thing. Vinegar is a liquid, but it's not water. Milk is a liquid, but it's not water. They're not the same thing. So what does Abu Shakir say? He goes, okay, I'll test your theory. I'll go home and I'll put these stones on fire and I'll see and wait for them to melt. And the Imam, he laughs at him. He goes, you can't do this in your oven at home. Tell me, can you do that to metal in your oven at home? No, you need a very high temperature for this rock, for this stone to completely liquefy. And today you can see that. When you heat up stone to a certain degree, it completely turns into liquid. So this was Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So then what happens? Abu Shakir, he says, I can't believe that something is everywhere, yet I can't feel it. It's hard for me to believe that something is everywhere. We say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is everywhere. It's hard for me to believe that something is everywhere, yet I can't feel it. Then the Imam, he goes, Abu Shakir, what about air? Abu Shakir, he goes, I can feel it when it moves. And the Imam, he goes, when it doesn't move, does it not exist? Does air only exist when it moves? And when it doesn't move, it doesn't exist? Abu Shakir, he had no reply. He had no reply. Whether air moves or it doesn't move, it constantly exists. If you look at what the theories being set forth today, if you look at the questions that are being set forth today from the atheist perspective, these were the same questions that were set forth to the Imams. The answers that the Imam gave still apply today. Very simple answers. What happens is a lot of the time, the people, they want to know too much about something and they forget about the simpler stuff. And because of that, they get completely confused. But this was the life of the Imam. The only thing the Imam focused on was spreading knowledge, as much knowledge as he could. But why was the government after him? What did the Imam do to the government? When you look at Imam's history, the Imam was martyred by Mansur. Why? What did the Imam do to him? Why was he given poisoned grapes? The only thing the Imam wanted to do was spread knowledge. But the government, they knew what could happen from this knowledge. They knew that if more people gather around this person because of the knowledge that he's giving, then their government would be toppled. Sallallahu alayka ya Rasulallah. Sallallahu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Sallallahu alayka ya Siddiqatu Fatima. Sallallahu alayka ya Hasan al-Mujtabah. Sallallahu alayka ya Gharib al-Ghuraba. Ya Aba Abdullah al-Husayn. Ya Husein. Brothers and sisters, the last moments of Imam Jafar Sadiq's life are upon him. He gathers his household and conveys to them his last will. Imam Sadiq is resting his head on Imam Kazim's lap and sees that his son is profusely crying. My master cries and he says, "Oh my son, at the very least I am at home. Oh my son, at the very least my head is resting on your lap." Imam Kazim, he asks, "Oh father dear, why are you crying?" Imam Sadiq replies, "Oh my son, I am crying over you. I am crying over the loneliness that I foresee. When you will face this trial, you will be in Baghdad. When you will call out for your son, he will be in Medina. Oh my son, when Raza comes to you, you will go through what I am going through." Brothers and sisters, this was my sixth Imam. Come, let us look at our fourth Imam. It is the middle of the night. The prison of Kufa and Lady Zainab has awoken for Salatul Layl, and she calls out, "Oh my son Sajjad, where are you?" When Imam Zainul Abidin doesn't reply, she turns towards Najaf and calls out, "Ya Abati Adrikni." "Oh father dear, I had only one Sajjad left and now he isn't here. Oh father dear, please help me." As she was crying, she sees that the gates of the prison have swung open and Sayyid al-Sajidin is coming towards her. Zainab asks with sorrow, "Oh my son Sajjad, where had you gone?" Imam Sajjad replies, "Oh auntie dear, I went to go bury my father." Lady Zainab asks, "Oh my son, did you bury my brother Hussein alone?" Imam replies, "Oh auntie dear, when I got to the area where my father was martyred, I saw that there were a few women from the Banu Asad clan. They were crying over the body of my father. As I got closer, they started leaving, but I called out to them, 'Oh my mothers, oh my sisters, please wait. I am this man's heir.' They ask me who I am, and I tell them that my name is Ali, and this is my father Hussein. They reply that you are absolutely right, this is Hussein. I ask them, 'How do you know that this is Hussein?' Oh my sisters, people are recognized by their faces, and my father's head has been severed. They reply, 'Ya Ali, for 3 days we hear the voice of a woman. We don't know where it comes from, but this is the name she keeps calling out. Auntie dear, after I make the grave of my father, that's when I realized that when I wanted to send it down, there was no one to receive it. And if I was to go down and receive it, there was no one to send it. Sajjad, tell me, how did you bury my brother Hussein?' Auntie dear, in complete sadness, I turned towards Najaf and I called out, 'Ya Jaddi Adrikni.' Oh grandfather dear, please help me. Auntie dear, I see that from the grave 2 hands rise up. Sajjad, were those the hands of my father Ali? No, auntie dear, they were the hands of my grandmother Fatima. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless this gathering I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins, to forgive the sins of all the mu'mineen that are gathered here tonight, to forgive the sins of all the marhumin mu'mineen that do not have anyone to pray on their behalf. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Matam Husein.
یا حسین یا حسین آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے شاہنشاہ دو عالم حضرت جعفر کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے محمد مصطفیٰ کے دین کو جس نے کیا رائج ہوا وہ خلد کو راہی جہاں میں آج تلا تم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے جگر ٹکڑے کیا زہر ہلاہل سے شہیدی کا نہ آیا خوف ظالم کو اندھیرا آج عالم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے جناب موسی کاظم سر عریان روتے ہیں جناب موسی کاظم سر عریان روتے ہیں صدا و شور و گریہ سے مدینے میں تلا تم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے کہاں سے چین ہو احمد علی حسنین و زہرا کو کہاں سے چین ہو احمد علی حسنین و زہرا کو چلے ہے چھوڑ کر تربت نبی کے گھر میں ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے آزادارو لقب جن کا ہے صادق اس کا ماتم ہے شہنشاہ دو عالم حضرت جعفر کا ماتم ہے رحم اللہ مناد الفاتحہ زیارت السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار، ولا جعل الله آخر عهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا غريب الغرباء السلطان أبا الحسن مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي يا صاحب الوسط والزمان، الأمان الأمان الأمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.